we are going to talk about the class Reptilia. We are going to discuss the general characteristics of the organisms under the class Reptilia, and we are going to discuss many life processes in brief under the class Reptilia. We are going to talk about the adaptation. We are going to talk about the diagram of a reptilia and the label of it. Let's start. We are going to start with the general characteristics of class Reptilia. One, most of them live on land, like the lizard, chameleon, salamander, etc. They live on land. While a few live in water, like crocodile, we have turtle as we have on the slide here. They live in water. They are cold-blooded animals. That means their body temperature changes as the environmental temperature changes. That means they have a variable body temperature, not like in us, in which we have a constant body temperature irrespective of the changes that is happening in the environment. Animals that are cold-blooded, we call them poikilothermic animals. Next, they have homodont dentition. Homo means same, and dentition is talking about the teeth. So in here, the teeth are of the same shape and function. As we say, homo means same. And next, their skin are covered with scales, not like as we have in amphibian, in which the skin is not covered with scale and it is moist because they use it for respiration. But in here, the skin is covered with scale for protection because they are not using their skin for respiration, and most often they crawl on land. So for them not to get physical injury from crawling, their skin is being covered with skin. The next characteristics is that apart from the snakes, they have two pairs of legs. They have the fore limb and they have the hind limb. The limb at the front is called the fore limb towards the head, and the limb at the back very close to the tail is called the hind limb, as we have here. So this one is the fore limb, the one closer to the head, and the one closer to the tail at the back is called the hind limb. And next, they lay eggs. Animals that lay eggs, they are called oviviparous animals. Next, they use their lungs for respiration. When we talk about respiration in amphibians, we say the larvae they use their gill for respiration, but the adults they use their skin, their mouth and lungs for respiration. But in here, they are just using only lungs for respiration. Reproduction is sexual. That means it involves male and female. And in here, they experience internal fertilization. That means the fission of the male and the female gamete is being done inside the body of the female. And next, they show little parental care. For them, when they lay their eggs, they cover it with sand or dry leaves. They move on without caring for it. So the youngs they can hatch out of the egg and they can survive on their own without any parental care. That's why we say they show little parental care. And next, they possess incomplete developed chamber heart. For then they have the left and the right atrium that is completely divided, but the right and left ventricle, it is partially divided, not completely divided. That's why we say they possess incompletely developed four chambered heart, because the left and the right ventricle is not completely divided. That's why we use the word here incompletely developed four chambered heart. Now let's talk about the structure of a lizard. We are going to talk about the diagram that you are seeing here, and we are going to talk about the various parts that are being labeled. Now let's start. We start with the one at the front here, which is the nostril, which they use for respiration. And they have a bulging eye, which is used for vision. It is the eye that they use to see. And they have the eardrum on the head, which is used for hearing. And they have a gular foot, which they use most often for attraction. So this lizard here, as we have it on the slide, it is divided into two: the head, the neck, and the trunk. We have just talked about the head. Now we have the neck here. Now let's move to the trunk. On the trunk, we have the nuchal crest at the back. Most often they use it in terms of defense. Now this nuchal crest and the gola fold, they are less prominent in female. That means they are very small in female as compared to male. On the trunk, we have two pairs of limbs, as we said under the characteristics of Reptilia. We have the limb very close to the head, the forelimb, and this forelimb is having 5 digits. Each of these digits is having a sharp cloud which they use for climbing. We also have the hind limb, just like the forelimb, similar characteristics. And we have the cloaca. This cloaca, they use it for excretion and reproduction. It is through the cloaca that they take out the waste, and it is through the cloaca that they take out the egg that they have to lay. And we have the tail here, which is at the back, which is used for balancing. And lastly, they have a scale, as we have on the slide, the whole body covered with overlapping scales. This scale prevents them from harm when they are crawling, more in the case of getting wound when they are crawling on land or climbing a tree or walls. Next that we have to discuss about is the structural adaptation of a reptile. What are the things that it has which make it to live efficiently and effectively in its environment? One, they have a bulging eye on either side of the head, which provide wide range of vision. Two, they have digits which ends in sharp cloud for climbing trees or walls. The third one is that they have an overlapping scale which prevent them from injury while climbing or crawling on land. Next, they have a tail which provide maintenance of balance. Next, they have eardrum which they use to detect vibration of sound from air. Next, they undergo what we call camouflage. That means these organisms can blend their color with the color of the environment, which can make it very difficult for predator to identify them as we have it on the far right hand side of the slide here on this tree here, and we have another one here. This one is a chameleon, while this one on the tree here is a lizard. Then lastly, on the far left hand side, they have a sticky tongue which they can pull out quickly and withdraw in quickly in order to catch their prey. Now let's talk about behavioral adaptation of a lizard after we have talked about the structural adaptation of a lizard. Now, how the lizard behaves in its environment in order to survive there effectively. One, they do what we call basking. So most often they bask under the morning sun in order to increase their body temperature so that they can become active. Then two, they do cutting of their tail. Let's say you want to capture it by the tail, they can cut the tail and the whole body will move away while the piece of tail will remain in your hand. Next is that they lay a shell egg which prevents it from desiccation. That means it prevents it from drying up. Lastly, these organisms are very brilliant. So what they do, since they know they provide little parental care, they lay their eggs in an hole and they cover it with a dirty or dry grasses. Or sometimes if there is no hole, what they do, they find a sand which they can lay their egg in it and they cover it with it so that predator cannot see it easily or identify it easily and consume it.